Hey, good morning. It's late coffee time. It's already 11:11. Boy, I've really been lately just not with it. I mean, I was up earlier and I made my coffee and it sat and it sat and it sat. And then I just started looking at properties in West Virginia. For some reason, intuitively, I am drawn to West Virginia. I either want to buy a piece of land that I could just stick my camper on and then maybe over time get a little RV pad, or B, actually buy a little property there, because even with as high nationally prices as we're seeing in homes, you can still find something, a little bit of a fixer, and sometimes just destroyed, but there's actually some not bad homes in the 40,000 range. I believe that price is going to go way down, possibly even by 50%. So I have to have the patience to wait. Meanwhile, I'm going to need somewhere to wait, because I know it's going to take about a year for the dust to clear and for people to realize, hey, we're not going to get 3 times the price that it's worth anymore. It takes time for people to accept that. I've learned this through personal experience, such as when I bought the Milo house. I knew I was at the tail end of the height, and I knew what was coming because I'd been watching the market. When you start to see a $5,000 to $10,000 drop in home prices, it's a very good indication that that's going to be the trend ongoing. People just stop buying when they realize, one, it's too dang expensive, and two, the interest rates have gone really high. So I need to gather together as much of my cash as I can, and I'm kind of thinking, what if I just leased a car? Something I could sleep in if I had to, for about the 3-year lease. That would give me time to find the home that I wanted. And then I could just turn the car in. I could make it work up until the point that I would need to give it back, because it's going to be expensive. If I could find a really cheap lease, like in the $199 range, then you have to have insurance. And I don't know if car insurance is cheaper in West Virginia. Anything's cheaper, I think, than Florida. Florida has really weird laws, and the car insurance is through the roof. I know one thing for certain. I used Florida while I could for Dennis's sake, my late husband. I knew my sons were down here. I thought Dennis would definitely end up in institutional care. And I was familiar with Florida. I knew the area that I'm in currently. I've known it for many years. Rachel was 11 the first time we came and spent a winter down here. Rachel's going to be 41 this year? Wow. Man, time really flies, doesn't it? So yeah, I'm thinking maybe an Amish community. There's only 3 of them in West Virginia, and they're rather remote areas. But the reason I like the Amish community is I know that they grow produce and they more than likely will sell it. And in these times of uncertainty, times of not being sure about food shortages and things like that, I think being near an Amish community is a good idea. So Ohio and Pennsylvania also come to mind, but I think the taxes are way cheaper in West Virginia, residential taxes. So, I could either buy a little piece of land and eventually develop it, but I know better because I've bought over the years about 3 different pieces of land and we never developed any of them. It always never happened. And so I lean more toward finding a little, crappy home where I could at least hook up to water and sewer that's already existing, or maybe even get the place fixed up a little bit, depending on price. So I'm trying to keep an open mind and keep everything open because I'm not doing well physically. I'm just not doing well. It's not just the fibromyalgia problems and the spinal issues. I have other issues I don't generally talk about, but they're very serious issues if you're thinking of living in a vehicle. And well, I just love the open road and I love to travel and I love to see new places and I get bored so easily being in one place. I really get bored fast. There's always a comfort in knowing that you got a little place to go to. Electricity, air conditioning, heat, running water. These things are important as I age. Much more important than when I was young, but they were important then too. I remember being sick on the road was an awful thing. We'd get a hotel room for a few days and try to recover. Oh my gosh, I should tell you the one about Kingman, Arizona, was it? I think it was Kingman. Anyway, here comes the story. Okay, so I was pregnant with Bonnie, and I was coming very close to being due. As a matter of fact, I was expecting her around February 14th. She came on the 16th. And it was about December, and we were out in the deserts of Nevada, Bull City, and Laughlin, Nevada. Well, we caught the Laughlin flu. It was so awful. We got so sick. And the kids got sick first, the 2 boys. And I'm like, we've got to do something. We can't. It was the weekend. We couldn't get into the hotel at the casino because we'd had those. I told you before about in Quartzsite we found all the coupons and we could get rooms for $7.50 a night. One room is $7.50, and we'd get 2. Kids would have one, we'd have another. Well, unfortunately, it was a Friday, and they started to get the Laughlin flu. So I said, I can feel it coming on, Dennis. I said, we got to go get the laundry done. And Dennis started to go down, too, We got to find the cheapest hotel we can, and we found one. I don't know how we found it. Internet wasn't even a thing then, I don't think. No, it was like, gosh. Well, I guess it was a thing, but I don't know how we found, maybe in a local paper. We must have found a price thing or something. I mean, sometimes we pick up those motel magazines and you could look through those and find the cheapest price. Well, the town I'm pretty sure was Kingman. I'm not sure if it was Nevada, Arizona. I'm pretty sure we had to cross the state line, but I'd have to look at a map, and I'm not going to do that right now. And so we went to this hotel, and it was fair, it wasn't anything big to do, and there was washing machines there, and I could feel it coming on, and Rachel went down next. So the 2 boys were already down. We got them to the hotel, got them situated. Dennis went down next, got him situated, went to the grocery store, loaded up on juices and soups and jellos and everything I could think of. And then I was finishing up the laundry, and Rachel said, I can't stand anymore, Mom. I think I'm going to faint. I said, go lay down. I'll finish the laundry. It was hell, because you feel that coming on you. It reminds me so much of a fibro flare, getting a flu. You just like, boom, it hits you and you feel like you just can't go on, not even a second more. But I did. I got all the laundry caught up. I got everything situated. And then I laid down, and we were in bed for 3 days. We'd take turns trying to get drinks to everybody, and, helping with vomiting and what have you, and extra towels from the maids and changing sheets despite the condition we were in. It's like a dream. I barely remember how things went down, but we made it through. And then we recovered. We weren't up to par. We were all very weak and drawn, and we decided we were going to go back. We had left our camper at the casino in Laughlin, and back then it was so easy. Everything was just so free flowing. It just, nothing really mattered to anybody. It was just a big party town, Laughlin was, and you could just park in the back of a casino and camp for free. It was fantastic. Plus stay and eat for nothing. Well, we were all really sick. We went back to, we just like at the end of the flu. You don't get over it in 3 days, obviously, but we were able to get up and start moving, and we went into our camper, and I think we went back into the hotel at that point, and I was like, I'm starving. We've been living off of Jello and ginger ale and soup, and I just need something to eat. And so we decided to go across to Bull City. It's like a little ravine or something. You crossed over into the next town, and there was this fantastic, it was either Thai or Chinese restaurant, and they had a big family-sized bowl of soup. So we got that. We were all just ate it and felt so much better. And then we went back to our hotel room, and we recovered for another few days, and then we were back to normal. But that was hard. You're on the road, you don't know where you're going, you got to find a place to recoup. Thank God we had the camper and the coupons for the cheap hotels, because it really made a great deal of difference in our situation. Here I was pregnant, expecting in a couple of months. As a matter of fact, we would go to, I do believe we went to Las Vegas to talk to a couple of midwives. They had birthing rooms. I was going to have Bonnie there originally. But I said to Dennis, I know it's winter, and I know we've been warned by people not to go up there. It's just, nothing's happening up there, your business and everything. But we'd acquired some money because Dennis had gone and did some shows. And where'd he go? Did he go to... I'm thinking he went to Los Angeles to do a big show, because they saw a bunch of stars walking around. They saw Laverne from Laverne and Shirley, and they saw... that guy from Friends with the weird lips. What was his name? I can't remember. They said he was a real, you-know-what. Alice Cooper, they talked to him for a while. Some other, we were never impressed, It's like everybody poops the same, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, yeah, so, we've had many odd adventures in our lifetime. I wish I could have gone to that show, but I was watching the boys, and I was pretty pregnant, and I wasn't very good at that point for lifting or doing anything else, and Rachel was a good helper, and Dennis always paid her. And so he had made enough money from that, and I said, let's go to Sandpoint. Let's go find a place to call home, because we owned 30 acres up in Naples, Idaho, and I was going to be, Dr. Quinn medicine woman or something like that. I just wanted to homestead. I wanted to try living off the land, and that was stupid, because Dennis was not earthy. He was merchanty. He was a merchant, and I never really did get over that. Because of his mountain climbing background, I thought he might adapt. But Dennis could never sit still. That's why I think his illness was such a shock. Because it was the first time ever he couldn't keep going. How very odd. Thinking of him in such a active way. He was a very active man. He'd never sit still. It was horrible. It was like, would you take 2 hours off here? Can we all just rest? This needs to be done and that isn't done and the house needs to be painted and this and that. And I'm oh my God. Well, he did the things he loved. Today is 11 months of his suicide death. And I miss him. I miss him. I miss the crazy antics and how I won't have a partner in crime to go do all this crazy crap with. Somehow I feel like he's right there, you know? Right on my shoulder looking over. You shouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. Ha, I can do what I want. I'm in control now, which is really terrifying and frightening. It's frightening to be totally in control. I know that the only one that's going to pay for my mistakes is me, and that's a good thing. I'm not going to drag anyone else down with me. But I need to do the right thing. I don't have other resources after this. This is going to be it. And that's why I'm thinking more and more toward, I would like some real property. Even if it's just a piece of land, it's something that could be there for generations to come. And you just never know when a pandemic might arise, or food shortages, or just general civil unrest. It would be good to have a little place far away in the country. Sometimes it's good. Sometimes there's crazies in the country too, and they're going to break in, and you know how that is, but I'm going to figure it out. I finally am going to have the resources and the freedom to go find out what I want, where I'd like to be, where I might want to age. Not being around my kids is the most heartbreaking part of it. It's going to hurt to high heavens. But if I'm not too far away, and I can make the trip in a day to a day and a half, or I could just fly in to see them, something's got to work out. I'd like to find a little home where I could even run a little shop just inside the porch. Make a little extra money, you know? Something that I could set up and just add little things to it as I go. So, there's so many thoughts in my mind. So many possibilities, even without a lot of money. I think I'll have about $33,000 when all is said and done. Total between the car and this. And it's something. It's not a ton, but it's something. And I could start to rebuild a little of my life with those resources. And that's why I'm very cautious about picking out a vehicle. I don't need to pick out a vehicle for $5,000 and then find that it's going to cost me $10,000 to fix it, and then I've lost $15,000, and then I have way less to work with. So I've got to be very shrewd and very sharp on what I do next. That's pretty much it. That's where I'm at. Van Life Chronicles. It's really more survival chronicles. How does a disabled widow without a lot of resources navigate her new life? I've never been here before. I mean, I always thought about it like, what if Dennis ever dies on the road? What am I going to do? But back then I was more secure. We had a big savings. We had a paid off home. We had cars in the driveway. It's not like that now. That was back then when I'd worry about him coming from Florida to Maine, and I'd wonder if he was ever just going to die on the road because it's dangerous out there. And he's been already he had been in several accidents, and I'd been in a few too, you know, and you just never know. But now that it's a reality, he's not here, he's not coming back, I've lost the income from the two of us. I make less now than when I was his paid caregiver. And then, of course, it was his money, you know. We would have been doing pretty well here, and he survived. But he didn't. And so, I have to make this work. I have to make it work. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I gotta make sure I do the right thing with the money I have left. And then I'd like some way to make a little residual income, even if it's just a little, I don't know, convenience store with chips and soda on a lonely road, or, you know, maybe some little handmade souvenir pieces if I'm in a beautiful area of West Virginia. Or maybe I'll go to Ohio. I don't know. And I miss the seasons. I want to see the leaves change. It won't be a New England leaf change. I know that. But I can't afford New England, not anywhere in New Hampshire or Maine. In Maine, the further north you go, the more horrible it becomes. And the bugs, and I know there's going to be bugs in West Virginia, but I hope they won't be anything like they are in Maine. I got to look that up. In Maine, it's like you don't get but, I don't know, you kind of get September without too many bugs, and October is great. And then winter comes, you know, that's Maine. And I gotta say, I don't feel like Maine was ever real good to me. Too many bad memories there, and I don't want to go back, not to live, maybe not even to visit. It's all changed so much, the areas that I loved, like Bar Harbor, and I know I have to go there to release Dennis's ashes one day, but it's not the Maine we knew 37 years ago. It's so different. Playland for the rich. Back then it was just little, you know, ordinary Joe place. And we loved that about it. It was simple and earthy and beautiful. Now you can't even find parking in Bar Harbor. No. Well, I'll figure out what I'm going to do with his ashes eventually. I'll respect his wishes. I know he wants them in the areas that he considered the best times of his life. That's it. That's all I've got to say. I'm going to go back online and I'm going to keep looking in different areas to see what's available. And I know this is not the time to buy. The prices are just starting to drop, and like I say, I believe I'll be able to get a really good bargain in the years to come, probably in 1 to 2 years. Meanwhile, I'm going to have to figure out, where do I hang out until then? What am I going to do with myself until then? And how will I do it? That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Good to be back making videos, and I hope I'll be able to do a lot more. As long as I have something to talk about, I'll talk. See ya.